continuing to bring you value wines. Cairanne. Welcome back to Drinking It In. I am your host, Chris Cassara. We are here to help you know more and drink better. And today we're going back to the Southern Rhone in France and tasting a wine from the appellation of Cairanne. Now, before I get into this, because there's some history here that we're going to explore and it's fun, I want to encourage you guys to like and subscribe, especially subscribe to this channel, because I know about 93% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. And what would be better than getting to see every new episode release, blah, blah, blah. And in the end, right, it helps the channel grow. It helps get more conversation going in the comments, and that stuff is important because we're trying to build a community here. So today, we're going to the Southern Rhone. We are tasting a Domaine de la Presidente Cairanne from the 2020 vintage. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about Cairanne, the Rhone, and so forth, just so you know where this thing, where this wine came from. Now, Cairanne is a new appellation. They just were awarded the appellation designation in 2016. So you haven't seen wines with the Cairanne label or the appellation Cairanne on it, right? It was in the past. I think it's been since 1953 or something like that. You could see Cairanne on a label, but it was only as a Cotes du Rhone village. And that's sort of the progression. Like if you have no real stature in the Southern Rhone, and then you get your name so that you can put it as like a region on the Cotes du Rhone bottles. And then if you get lucky and you really push for it and you prove that you have a distinct style, then you can get your own appellation. So we had a Rasteau wine we've tasted probably about a year ago on this channel, had a similar progression where they just recently got awarded their appellation name, and these guys are no different. So Cairanne is on, so the Rhone, you have the north and the south. Not really doing a great job of doing a map, but I'll put a graphic up here. Northern Rhone, Southern Rhone. Northern Rhone, you're really dealing with Syrah, and as you get further south, you get in more Grenache and Mourvedre. So we've talked about the GSM blends, the trio, the Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, and but if you think about Cairanne being kind of on the northern part of the Southern Rhone, but not considered the Northern Rhone, hopefully you followed that, you would naturally see more Syrah in these wines and resulting in a little bit of a bigger style than you might see in some of the other Southern Rhone appellations. So some other Southern Rhone appellations that you likely heard of: Châteauneuf-du-Pape, Gigondas, Vacqueryas, and the aforementioned Rasteau that we had done an episode on before. As these Southern Rhone wines get really pricey, right, or they're starting to get more and more pricey, especially the Châteauneuf-du-Pape and the Gigondas wines, we're left to kind of find other wines that are in the same area, but maybe aren't just a generic Cotes du Rhone. And this Cairanne, hopefully it's worthwhile. This was pretty reasonable. This was, I should almost consider this a value wine episode, because I think this wine was $15.29. It is 55% Grenache, 45% Syrah, and it was spent a year in oak barrels for the Syrah and then 1 year in steel tanks for the Grenache. So that's interesting. Let's see what it brings on the nose. It's definitely purpley, right? So I'm getting some plums. There's some earthy notes in here, a little dirt, which is cool, and a bit of rosemary. All right. It's pretty fruity though. And I don't, when I look at this, I don't get the sense that it's going to be too big, even though it is, what did we say, 45% Syrah. I get a that vanilla, oaky vanilla note a little bit, very like a wisp of that as you start off, and then it kind of fades to the back. We get some decent plums. It's a little bitter, a little bitter. I feel like I literally just opened this a couple hours ago and just let it sit out. I'm wondering if like another 6 hours or more lets that bitterness blow off a bit. It has a really nice mouthfeel, like a really nice weight to it. So this is not like a heavy wine, and by no means is it a light wine. It's kind of right in the middle, which would make it make me think that it would be very easy to drink with whatever non-fish food you were eating. Non-fish food, good work. I'm on a roll the last few times. My last few videos, I'm just like stumbling as if English is my third language. Yeah, there's like I don't want to say medicinal, but there's that type of a cough syrup vibe to it. So right now, I'm not making this wine sound very good. I am going to film a second part of this episode, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back to give this wine a little more air and taste it again. Coming up now. All right, so I gave this wine 24-ish hours. This is the Cairanne we're talking about. I was hoping it would show better and not be as bitter. And so the nose is a little weird. It's almost soapy. It's turned soapy, and it's no longer filled with fruit. And then nice and fruity, but it's still bitter on the back end. So I think in the end, we do want to look for Cairanne wines and try out that appellation, but this is not the wine to do it with.